This is my friend Aurelien Budynek. He's an incredible musician whose mastery of the guitar and lovable personality has led him to perform on massive world tours, the biggest shows on Broadway, record on fantastic albums in a multitude of genres, and holy cow, he's written all of these books. Today he's going to tell us about what it takes to make it in New York, thrive on tour, and get the most out of your time with music.
When you're at school studying, it's you need to learn sight reading because you need to be prepared because you're going to be thrown into the situation. You're going to have to, and I definitely thought that was the case for theater work for Broadway shows, and I've been subbing on a lot of Broadway shows for the past years, and it's very little like that as it turns out, because in terms of preparing the music, you're not going to go into a show sight reading the music and figuring out which guitar to use at which moments, the acoustic guitar, the drop guitar, the electric guitar, those effects are on, this one is, because everything is indicated on the chart, and like the chart is so dense because there's so many indications outside of the notes that you have to play. It's like you need to use this guitar, this combination of effects, or this patch, depending on what kind of gear you're using and stuff like that. So preparing for a Broadway show as a sub, you actually get the book, you take the book back home or a copy of it, and and a recording of a live show. Yeah. Usually a monitor feed, and then you listen and you read the chart, or you figure out, every moment of the chart, you come back. So you're really preparing, and at that point, you're not sight reading anymore. And then you go into the show with no rehearsal and you're on.
At this point, you've played a ton of different Broadway shows and you've played them many, many times. So what is it that you're doing that gets you to keep getting hired again?
Well, you try to mess up as little as possible, Come to think of it, I don't know if I've ever played one show 100% right all the way through. There's always going to be, and mind you, it's little mistakes. It's not like you're gonna, if you're train wreck a song, you're not gonna get asked back for sure. But if you play a dynamic a little wrong at some moment, and it's mistakes that sometimes only you will know about. Mistakes that sometimes the musical director will know about, and sometimes you'll get notes about that too. It's like, well, in that number, the dynamic should be a little lower at that moment because it's overpowering, or the balance is not exactly right. This needs to be more staccato, and this needs to be tighter. There's always a lot of notes, and they're very, very small details. If you do like maybe a 95% and up show, you're in good shape. Anything less than 95, like I would start to feel really bad about. So it's about playing the music really well, but also being being a nice person to be around with. Also, because if you show up and you kind of bring the vibe down, people are not going to be too excited to play with you.
Well, one interesting thing about you that no one could possibly really know is that you don't use social media really. Like you have an Instagram for artistic reasons, and where you show your photography and track your progress in that way, but you're not building up a big Twitter or doing the Facebook bombing or even on there.
No.
So but your network is strong and you keep getting tons of cool opportunities. So for me, I'm stuck on Facebook because I think that's a huge part of my career, but you've managed not to do that. So
yeah, I think there's some good aspects and bad aspects about it, and there's definitely, I was on Facebook on one point, and there's some aspects that I miss about self-promotion also, and just reaching out to people outside of my circle. And that's the thing about living in a city like New York City. It's a big music city, and the networking is kind of old school. It's very it's a relational and personal relationship, level. You meet the people and you play with the people, and if those people like how you play, they're going to keep hiring you or recommend you for other people, because that's how the scene works here. It's a lot about recommendation, and you're kind of always working with the same people. Social networking doesn't necessarily apply all that much because you kind of already know everybody in a small relatively small circle, like the New York music scene.
If you're like a hardworking outsider and you move to New York to make it, like, how, I know it's like not possible to really answer this, but how long do you think someone should expect it to take before they get really discouraged?
Well, you will get discouraged.
Yeah.
So, how long until you get discouraged?
How long until it's like valid to be like how long? Like if someone, for example, if someone shows up to New York and you're like, I'm going to be making it in 6 months, like that's maybe overly optimistic. Maybe it's possible, but if they don't in 6 months, they shouldn't quit, right? Or maybe you should.
No, I mean that's maybe they should. Maybe if they think they're gonna get so accomplished in 6 months and they don't, then maybe they should quit.
Yeah.
But it's about, I mean, I don't know, being a professional artist or a, you know, professional creator, professional musician or whatever, it takes a lot of it is about perseverance, you know. Mm-hmm. And you see a lot of people just kind of dropping a little bit, you know. Mm-hmm. And like this the circle gets smaller and smaller because people get out of the circle because mm-hmm. they quit or because they whatever,
they move,
and also because you know, you're getting better, so the circle is getting smaller because it's, you know, there's less people at the top, so to speak. Mm-hmm. One of the things that also will get you hired, I find, now that I've been in the city for 12 years now, it's like, oh, this guy is still doing it, you know, so mm-hmm. we should get him.
Okay, yeah,
because he's still doing it.
Reliable.
So, right, and he's if he's still doing it, that means he's good and he's still making a living for it, and he's probably the guy we want.
So I've heard that maybe there's a bit of negativity towards people who first arrive because they like, maybe, you know, everyone comes with the same ambition, but it seems more like it's just you've got so much trust with the people you've been with.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, when you're used to working with the same people, and when an outsider, a newcomer, you know, younger, slimmer, prettier guy that comes in, you know, it's like, oh no, don't get that guy, you know.
He's too hot.
Yeah, it's too hot.
The guy's too hot to be good.
When I first moved here, you know, it was hard to make contacts at first, and just kind of really break into the circles because I was the new guy and nobody knew me and nobody really listens to you at first, you know. But if you know, keep at it long enough, then you're gonna be playing with some people, and your work is slowly gonna start to speak for itself.
Have you ever attempted or done any long distance work over the internet, like production or collaboration in any way? Like, have you ever had
online?
Yeah,
definitely. I've done that a lot for my band Daredevil Squadron. We have a new record that hopefully is going to come out this year, but the mixing was done in England.
Oh, cool.
By an engineer in England. In our band, even though we all live in New York, sometimes we're not able to get together in the same room, and we would be exchanging ideas through mm-hmm. email.
It seems like a lot of people are, you know, living not in New York or LA, and like most people live not in New York or LA, and they are told a lot that they should go there to have a career for, I think, really good reasons, and they can't for whatever reason and want to like collaborate with people over the web, and that kind of trust you were talking about that you build from that in person. It's interesting to hear that you're also like doing both because right. You know.
But at the same time, the remote collaboration stems from a real life meeting or relationship. Almost always it stems from either somebody that I know personally directly, or like maybe one degree of separation.
Yeah.
You know, if somebody told me that you would do that, and
so you have to go out and meet people.
I mean, that's just kind of just human society, human basis of human relationship.
It's like a nice thing, but it's also a hard thing to swallow in a way. If you're like, I feel like you know, anywhere you live, there's probably, you know, people you'll gel with around. It's just like, for a lot of people, it's like hard to go socialize. Like, I don't know. It's just like not everyone's built for that naturally. You have to work on it.
Yeah, definitely. And
do you think you're extroverted?
No.
Like, yeah, but she's still in there.
Yeah, I have a really hard time, you know, schmoozing and trying to sell myself and stuff like that, you know, and like the relationship has got to be meaningful, you know, and I have to be approached, or I have to approach somebody that I genuinely want to have a conversation with, you know, mm-hmm. or that they, you know, if they want to really have a conversation with me, then I open a lot easier, you know. But if it's all kind of just bullshitting and
telling people about your accomplishments.
Yeah, exactly. Telling people about your accomplishments, or you know, what is he going to be able to do about my career? That kind of thing.
Yeah. Man, I'm doing really well right now. I've got
real busy, man. We should jam.
I'm so busy though.
Yeah. What about tomorrow? No. Too busy, bro.
I've got like, I'm working with Kendrick Lamar and Ronald McDonald and Bill Gates tomorrow. I'm on a plane with Steve Jobs and Ronald McDonald.
What?
I've got a question, actually. Oh, yeah. So you've played shows for, like, what's, like, the biggest crowd? Probably, like...
We played a show in Colombia in a soccer stadium with Marky Ramone opening for Guns N' Roses.
Okay.
40-some thousand people.
Okay, great. And then Mazel Tov, yeah. And you played... and you played plenty of shows in small clubs. And
most of the shows I play, there's nobody there.
Yeah. So
that balances out.
Okay, great. And then you played in the middle too. You played for like nice theater size. So, what is your favorite of those environments? Or
I mean, you know, it's really exciting to play for a lot of people. You know, when there's and I haven't done that very much. So of course, because it happens so occasionally, it's anything that happens occasionally that you enjoy doing, you're going to be excited about, right?
Yeah.
So playing for a sea of people, that's exciting to me because I don't do it very much. But for instance, that show that I did with 40,000 people, I barely remember anything about it.
Really?
Yeah, because there were so many facts. That was my first gig with that new band that I was playing with.
Yeah.
That was the first gig. We had never rehearsed because the band members are disseminated from all over the world.
Yeah.
So we never rehearsed as a group. And long story short, we didn't get a sound check.
Oh my gosh.
So, so I'm a little stressed, from that being the first gig, the people that I'm playing with, the stature of the people that I'm playing with and stuff like that. I want to make a good impression, and also there's 40,000 people there, and so the context is kind of heavy, and then when you play and it's over like that, and there were so many things going in my head. It's like that's why I barely remember anything. But it's usually a lot more fun to play for when the audience is closer to you physically. So when we've played in little clubs with Marky, for instance, and people are just going nuts, for one thing, they're there for us, because sometimes we would play at festivals or as the opening slot for somebody, and we kind of share the audience with whoever else is there. So not everybody's excited about us playing, you know what I mean? But when we play in a small club that we're headlining at, anywhere between 200 and 1,000 people or something, people are pumped because that's what they come to see, and they're just right there, and like the first row are the diehards, and they're crazy, and they're trying to grab you, and they're trying to.
Do you jump on them?
Do I jump on them?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
But sometimes, people try to get on stage and like touch you, whatever, or jump from the stage, or steal pics from my, So that's fun. And when you play in a ginormous place like a stadium or a big outdoor festival or something, for one thing, the first thing is that the first row is going to be, like 30 feet away. Because there's going to be a huge hole between the stage and the first row for photographer and security and some technical aspects, I guess, and stuff like that. And so just being so far, and the stage is, so vast.
Is there a sound delay if you step away from your monitor or the drums?
It can be on really, really big stages, but that's why usually I ask for drums in my monitor, at least kick and snare, so I can have like a present thing, But then when I move a little bit, then that's when it starts changing a little bit, and so you have to be careful.
Do things get really quiet away from your monitor?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes, when the monitors are really directional. I mean, that was insane. Like the last festival we did in India, it was again like a really big stage, big outdoor thing. the monitors were great when you were exactly at the right angle. You could hear everything just exactly right, and then you would move 2 feet away, and then it was just a wash of everything. You can't hear anything.
Yeah.
You know, I can't hear the guitar anymore. I've cranked Marshalls.
You're like
back.
this, but the sound is like.
Yeah.
How about with regards to your personal artistic development and your playing? What are some things you're thinking about now?
More and more these days, I'm tending to be more and more minimal about what I play and what I use and what I listen to a little bit to some extent. And a lot of it comes from trying to eliminate options. If there's less options to choose from, for me, it's more liberating than having a million things to choose from. To me, that's overwhelming and scary. Having a million effects to choose from, having a million knobs to turn. Sometimes it's just like, well, you know, this is the chord and this is the effect, and you know, this is the one guitar, and there's an art in making those limitations work, and I think the limitations are inspiring. It's just exploring the canvas, you know, instead of having be completely free. At least you have a framework to work in.
Do you think that's a side effect at all of just the fact that in your life you travel so much, and the more stuff you have while you're traveling, it causes unnecessary burden?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I definitely apply that philosophy to my life too. As I get older, I mental space is very important to me, you know, and I try to make mental space. And everything I do takes mental real estate, and I have to figure out how those pieces work in that puzzle, you know, and sometimes I have to let go of some things and just to make space for more stuff, you know.
You have a lot of CDs and I have a lot of CDs, and like I feel like physical merch is sort of, you know, I'm conflicted because I think it's important for bands to like be able to sell things and people to hold on to the art, but like at the same time it's bad for the environment, and I think as a culture generally, like people our age and stuff are kind of like going a more minimalistic route. We don't want as much stuff. What are your thoughts about like physical merch and the way that works?
I mean, you know, that falls into a different category for me. I'll always have CDs, you know. I have a bunch, and I love being able to look at the booklet. And again, with the mental space and the focus, you know, it's about being in one place and being totally focused on the experience, and I feel it makes the experience better. I try to do it as much as I can, but it's hard. There's nothing to me like listening to an album front to back with headphones or a really good system with the lyrics and nothing else, you know, just doing that, taking that hour and just being really focused on forgetting about everything else and listening to that hour of music. And I mean, these are some of the best moments of my life, you know, and some have changed my life or changed my perspective, you know. And
it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Do you find that time on the road?
It's hard, especially, you know, like because you're always kind of moving, or and generally the few moments where you're not moving and you're alone in your hotel room or whatever, it's hard to put my mind to focus on listening to more music, you know, because I'm surrounded with music constantly when I'm on the road.
On tour, I'm always trying to have like a second mission besides the tour to keep the rest of my life going, but I find I never do it well. Like that secondary mission, I never accomplish it, and it ends up being like, well, can I write a little each day? Can I write like some words down? Is there anything I could do every day, even exercise or anything? I never am able to keep anything, but maybe if my focus was more like, because I'm definitely going to play a show every day, maybe if my focus was more on like, how can I make everything towards the show, maybe I would develop more habits that were like with the grain. Or
I mean, it's hard, you know, it's hard to find something that works for you, and that's a balance between everything, because it's also, when you're like me, focusing on only the show, it also has a lot of downsides, you know, because you're getting unfocused from everything else, you know, and you know, some personal relationships or your family or whatever, you know, and you're gonna play that show really good, but the rest of your life is gonna fall apart.
Yeah.
And that's definitely happened. But
You come home and you feel like you're coming home to like a desert version of your forest.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's that's also the nature of the life you chose a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of ebb and flow and ups and downs, and you have to deal with those. I guess. I haven't really developed a routine about that, or I haven't really found maybe a good balance about it, but this seems to work for me.
Yeah.
For now.
I mean, I think music's worth chasing.
I mean, that's what it's all about. That's maybe that sounds selfish, but to me that's the most important thing in my life. And it's not always great, far from it. But when it's great, there's nothing like it. There's nothing better.
On a utilitarian level, I think you do a whole lot of social good doing what you do. I think you could even look at it like from a totally non-selfish perspective, like the amount of good that you do by enabling Marky Ramone's whole experience to be consistent and great, and by making it so that all these people who pay ridiculous money to see Hamilton are seeing something that was like justifying it, and and putting out your own music and performing and like being a role model, and you've been a very useful, great mentor to me. It's a good way to risk your life. It's a good bet. Because that's what we're doing, right? We only have one life, and so when you commit time, that you're you're erasing everything else.
It's a good way to throw your life away.
Yeah. And I think that's a good place. Well, I really appreciate this, man.
Well, thank you, man. You're an inspiration to me very much. And,
thank you.
On many levels. So I'm glad. I love talking with you. So I'm glad to be doing it. At any time, I'm grateful.
Thanks, man.